Go through. I know some people are we have some concerns. Does everyone know where the link is for the activity document, right? I actually posted it again. It's in the session description in Whova. So if you click on the actual item and then click on the session and open the session up, not add to my, just open it up, not add to my agenda. The session itself, and then scroll down. And in the actual description, not under Claudine Kurtz. We are not at Claudine's session yet. We're still at the one that says activity log. Perfect.
Okay, so if people go to sessions,
if you go to,
and it's linked right under where it says add my agenda.
if you say it again.
Okay, guys, go to sessions, go to Wednesday, June 4th, scroll down right under where it says add to my agenda. You'll see a purple link that says activity log link.
It literally says exactly what she just said, like the exact directions.
Click agenda, click sessions.
That activity log. There you go. It's not rocket science. I'm giving everyone grief. Session 3. You've already scrolled past it because you're going too fast. You've already scrolled past it. Session 3. Because I can't hear everyone talking at the same time, just go to session 3 on the document. Don't do anything else. Go to session 3. Okay, we're going to pause. I need to go step by step because right now I got everyone in 7 different places. So go to session 3. Don't do anything else and stay right there. Okay, are we all good with that? Okay, and so right now we're going to cover briefly teaching with testimony, and this is using Harry's story. One of the things, can you admit? One thing I want to talk about with using these narratives this way. Many of you go in and most students who come in, they learn about the camps, they learn about Nazis, they learn about Nazism, and that's not important. But oftentimes we lose the focus of the victims and the voices and the people who actually experienced the Holocaust. One advantage of using a victim-centered narrative is to restore dignity and agency. Looking at the experiences and choices and resilience of those who were targeted by the Holocaust. The idea is to restore this dignity to these people who seek to identify them as humans and that they were systematically attacked. This didn't just happen overnight, and this happened to people. Everybody here has a story. Everybody here has your own individual thing that makes you you. Every student that you have has a story. And how are you gonna build empathy if they don't actually learn, if you just learn about timelines? I have never once had a student reach back out to me and I've got 2 who emailed me just last week. One who's actually joining West Point, and one who just finished college and was told they'd never graduate, bless you. Both were D students, didn't do very well in school, but both of them remember stories that were told. One remembers Gene Klein coming to actually talk as a Holocaust survivor, coming to one of our sessions, and one remembers Harry Lowenstein's story, and that's what connected him to the history. That's why they started doing better. This also supports trauma-informed education. Victim-centered narratives allow for sensitive, trauma-informed teaching. It humanizes the story as opposed to just talking about the mass atrocities in a blanket way that respects the weight of the Holocaust. It also provides a connection that allows you to avoid sensationalizing things. It's very easy to get into a moment to say all and to sensationalize and then to blanket everything, but it takes away from the individual experience. And we'll call it voyeurism. I'm going to show you, there's a picture I'm going to show you in just a minute to show you what I talk about voyeurism. Promotes empathy and critical thinking and encourages diverse pedagogical approaches. You can't empathize with the word the Jews. It's said as a thing, like it's a thing. This is the Jews, the Catholics, the Christians, the immigrants. But you know what I can empathize with? I can empathize with someone with Harry's story. I can empathize with hearing Gail's story and her family. I can empathize with your personal story because I'm getting to know you as a person. And that's not as hard to do as we think or as we make up. You can also, using narratives like this, it really works across multiple instructional strategies. This is document analysis, visual literacy, ethical inquiry. You can tailor lessons to meet almost any one of the standards. It's a matter of whether you have the time, and I know that's the issue, and I know that making this like this is very complicated. It counters dehumanization. We want to actually bring back the voice of people. And it's not just our survivors, but it's also voices of those who were lost, who maybe we have diaries from. You know, this is, or maybe even voices of bystanders or other people who are around. There's a whole other narrative, but we want to hear human stories. Students will see Jewish families and other targeted groups as full human beings with history, culture, and agency, not just victims. We call it victim-centered storytelling, but it's really person-centered storytelling. This is the idea of not just seeing these people as victims. It also can connect with contemporary issues. There are many students who will see themselves in many of these stories. Am I wrong? I'm getting nothing. I get two yes, I get two no's. Do students make any connections to, who here teaches the Holocaust in any way, shape, or form? Do your students ever make any connection to anything that they see? Because I used to have students especially students who were from other countries, who frequently make connections all the time.
Stephen, this is
Yes.
Kristen Bright. Could I speak?
Yes, Kristen, go ahead.
I definitely, I do teach the book Night, and I know you say there's so many others, but I teach 8th grade, and it's a great introduction.
Yes.
My students resonate with it. And one of the connections that they're making, especially in modern times, is that idea of the people that stood by, like having to make a choice to help or not help, and what to do. So I think like something I'd like to research is maybe, the general people. I'm sure that there's stuff out there like the internal conflict that they went through, because I think our students are going through that on different issues, whether to stand up or whether to stay silent. And I think it's an interesting lens of the narrative.
Who feels similar? There's only 3 of you. Do I got anybody else that says, y'all are making my engagement really, really poor, especially in the back corner there. You want to add something?
Yeah, one of the exciting parts of the play, when we put it on every day, was the Q&A, and having the kids come back and ask the questions to the cast. And it was so enlightening, and it helped shape where I wanted to go with the production. We know that bullying, we know that anti-Semitism, trying to create the awareness. The children are very often the victims and the perpetrators. So how do we deal with all of this information and get them to ask the next question? Not so much we have the answer, but they start to ask the questions and help guide us.
I feel that's one thing that we've lost a lot of, especially with the internet. No one asks questions because we all know everything, because we're all internet smart. Yeah, we're all. That is. I mean, we've all, between that and I tell you, I'm a victim of it in many ways. I see something and then you read something, or you get on TikTok. I mean, and let's look at. I mean, this is, by the way, I do want to actually go through my last point here really quick. Is glorifying the perpetrators. This is the Schindler Factory. If you've been to the Schindler Museum, which is really just a kind of a Polish history museum of the World War II and the invasion, the Nazi invasion, to me, that's what I felt like more than anything. But what these girls are doing, I took this picture, by the way. They were actually posing for Instagram, and she was doing a pose in front of the Nazi flag. I see that. Actually, you see that. I used to have kids back here in the front, and they'd get down with some of the, let's see the cool Nazi stuff. It's voyeurism. This is like they're looking at there, and they start posing with it, and that becomes the fascination. Again, it's not that we shouldn't, I'm not saying not talk about it. I'm just saying that has become a focus, and it hasn't helped. I don't see that it's necessarily completely helped everyone. We do refer to the Nazis when every time we see something, it's fascism, you're Nazis. We call everyone Nazis. But it's a blanket term now, and it's almost lost its impact the way it's used to me. But also, it can distort historical understanding and minimize the experience of those who suffered. Victim-centered education keeps the focus on the consequences of hate and the resilience of those who are targeted. Yes, Mitch?
Yeah, just two things. First of all, on that subject, we're all horrified when somebody in a museum setting or a memorial setting does something inappropriate. One of my first memories was my first visit to Auschwitz, which was, Holly, you were there back in 1991, and somebody actually stood next to the open door of a crematoria oven in the first building block that had been restored, and posed for a picture, a photograph. I mean, I had to pick my jaw up off the floor, but here was somebody who wasn't thinking. They were doing what a tourist does, not thinking about the place they were at. Right. Anybody can actually do that. So one of the things we have to teach kids is that when they're going to be in a museum or memorial setting, to think about the place where they are and what their purpose is for being there. That solves some of that. And the other question was for you. You just mentioned about how the students who view the play really get into the Q&A session with the cast. So what I wanted to ask you is, how did you prepare the cast to be ready to be in that moment?
We did months of interaction with the cast, especially with the cast, the members who played Anne Frank, a 14-year-old girl, Peter, a 15-year-old boy, and Margot, who played a 16-year-old girl. It was very important for me to have all of these same discussions. We did historical background, but the interaction with the cast is where we got the stories from the individuals. Again, those stories with Marvin sharing about his great-grandfather, with Hannah and her German family, and South Africa. And slowly, the children were beginning to ask questions of other cast members. It was beyond the script, before we ever touched the script. And then we brought the rabbi in, we brought a historian in, and we did a lot of table talking long before we just plunged into the script. And then it was, as Stephen said, choices. What are the choices each one makes? And that's important for an actor to delve into. What are your choices?
So, and I've got just because we got to get to, because Claudine is pulling up and she's here, and I want to make sure we get to the lesson. But also, on a real quick note on the picture here, I took my daughter for the first time when she was 9 years old to the United States Holocaust Museum, and we went in, and I didn't go behind the wall to show the graphic Camp Liberation, images, some of the graphic imagery, but I took her to the shoes and I said, "What do you see?" I said, "What do you see?" And she didn't say shoes, but she said, "I see a ballerina." And I said, and I really, and I said, "What?" I was really sitting there, and she looked at me and she said, "Yeah." She goes, "You see that one shoe?" She goes, "That's," and she found one shoe. And she said, "I see a little," she says, "How old was she?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. What does it look like?" She says, "She looks like maybe she was 6 or 7. And I said, and she goes, "What was she doing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "What was she doing that was so bad that she had to get taken?" And she goes, "Maybe she was," and then I said, "What do you think she was doing at the time she was wearing this little slipper?" And she says, "Maybe she was practicing for a recital. Maybe she was dancing for her parents. Maybe she was, just playing dress up. Or maybe she was, getting ready to study she wanted to plan, and one day, she wanted to be a doctor, and she was just had these little slippers on. And, and then she started saying, what she could have been. Why was her life less important than everyone else's? Why was their lives less important than anyone else's? And I'm not going to show, this is actually, if you get a chance to watch this, I'm not going to show this right now, but those of you that look it up at Yad Vashem, it's Glimpses of Jewish Life Before the Holocaust. That's the video with Cheryl from yesterday. It is that was here yesterday with us. It is a amazing little 4-minute video that actually has diary entries from what was before the Holocaust. Every single entry that you read is someone that was killed during the Holocaust, but they're all just them talking about life. Just talking about like being in synagogue and talking about, everyone does everything but pray. The boys look at the girls look at the boys, and everyone does something that they're not supposed to be doing. I dream about what I'm going to be one day, I'll be a poet. I'm dreaming about what my life will be like. But none of it is looking around going, I wonder what the Nazis are going to do. And it's a very powerful little piece that introduces life before, and I actually insist on it being shown before every field trip now, because you can't understand the enormity and the gravity and the destruction that was the Holocaust if you don't know what was taken. Because most kids have no idea what was taken, and most people don't have any idea what was taken. What they learn about is the travesty that was the Holocaust, and they learn about the Jews as this monolithic thing. They don't learn about, and just as victims. They don't learn about all the other, and it's hard to say. Many of you don't have time, but it's like, how do you present these narratives in a different way that shows the human face?
So this video you're saying.
Yeah, you can actually show this to any grade level. This is actually any grade. This video is appropriate for any grade level. It's just kids. It's actors reading diaries, and there's on elements actually old family film footage. There's nothing in it that's graphic, and you can bring it back here. Yeah.
One thing that Mitch told me 15 years ago when I first started coming to this teacher training is why it's so important to tell the story of Jewish people before the Holocaust and talk about what their lives were like, because they were like any other group of people in Germany and Austria and in Europe. They fell in love, they had families, they were doctors, there was tragedy in their life. And so let this, and that stayed with me until now. That's why Mitch always said, don't show the pictures, especially at the beginning, of the naked bodies at the camps. Let them know that they were people just like everybody else sitting in this room, and they had the same life experiences before the Holocaust happened.
So I'll play that. What I'm gonna do is I'd like to assign your groups. There is a video that's gonna be a segment. I'm gonna play it for the next couple of minutes. That's Harry just telling his story, because everyone playing this video in here will be quite annoying when you all start your lesson planning. So I'm gonna play the video for you. This is just a little bit of Harry's testimony, but we also have a transcript of Harry's testimony as well, for that's part of the asset pack. The links are in there. You will have to, if you scroll through the instructions super fast, you're gonna skip over everything. How dare I? But if you actually go through line by line and look at them, I try to be as concise as possible. And yes, guess what? I'm gonna show you guys my actual lesson plan, but this template, I needed something quick, down and dirty, so yes, I used AI to create it. The template that's actually just, that has the lines in it, because I really had no energy for it, because the template that I use is actually much more complicated, but I wanna see if we could import it and use the same features. I just needed a layout. So here, and, okay, the objective of your lesson is gonna be to build a plan from an assigned Florida Holocaust standard. That is based off your group number. I'm gonna come around and point out your group. So here, let's do this like this, is how many of you are gonna be in a group? I'd prefer to do like 5. Okay, how many? Is someone online? Okay, y'all are making this hard on me. I really wanna have no fewer than a group of 3. I wanna have 3 as the minimum. I'd like 3 as the minimum, because I don't have too many people in the group. Gotta be like, if I can, so let's see because Mitch, because I want y'all to have a group, and I know they've got a group, so. How many of y'all? Let's do. Can we do 3? Wherever I want. Okay. Can one of y'all peel off? Pretty please, and do I have a 3? Oh, you're so sweet. Okay. So group 1, group 2, group 3. Okay. Group 4. Okay. Group 5. Group 6. Were you guys, is that okay? Yep, okay. Group 7 for y'all, and Group 8. Okay. So real quick, in person, hold on, listen, before anyone says, I don't know what to do and y'all drive me crazy. How I long for the classroom. Okay. Groups 1 through 8, and if you look on the activity doc, you'll see the standards are broken out by group. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see the standards. Scroll down, you'll see all the standards, and if you'll see your number, you scroll down too far, Ed, if there's a table right there, those are the Holocaust standards, and you will see your standard that will correspond with your group number. Kayla, I need you to break up, so the remaining standard, what we'll do is the standards go through group 9, so you have to start over with another group 1 online. So we only have one more standard online, Kayla. I don't know if I'm making sense, but if you scroll down, we've got 1 through 8 covered. So there's only one more standard that is actually going to be group 9, which is going to be an online group. And then the other groups will start over at 1 and 2 again for the online. We got that? And I'll let you unmute. There we go. Kayla, I can't hear you if you're talking.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, just making sure you understood the ground rules. Okay, I'm going to play Harry's. Okay, everyone, real quick.
I'm Harry Lowenstein. I'm a Holocaust survivor. I was born in Germany, May 1931, of a Jewish family, and in 1933, Hitler came to power, and from that point on, life became very difficult. In 1938, more laws came out, and the first law was where we could no longer go to school. They also came out with another law which required you to wear the Star of David. In the meantime, they took away my father's authorization to do business, and he had to work on roads or railroad in order to earn a living. In roughly December, we had a notice that we are going to be resettled in Riga, Latvia. They assembled us from all the little towns. There were about 1,000 people getting on the train in Bielefeld. Some people slept in the package racks and so on. Normally those compartments were meant for 6, no more than 8, and you had about 10 or 12 in there. I don't know the distance, but I know by train it was 3 days. It was during the holiday of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, and somebody had brought candles, which is normal to light candles at the time. And there's also a song we sang, which is Mo Osur. It's a Hebrew, but the English translation is Rock of Ages.
Would you be able to hum the song, the melody?
Yes.
Could you
Mo Osur Yeshuati Lachana Eit Lisabeach Tikkon Beit Tefillati. It goes on and on. That was Hebrew, by the way. One compartment started and the whole train enveloped in the song, and the guards who were guarding us didn't know what to do with us. But after the third day, we arrived in Riga, Latvia. They marched us into the ghetto. So we were in the ghetto, and we were behind barbed wire, and the ghetto at the time had a lot of bloody streets. People were asking, why so much? They took all females, children, males over 48, marched them to the forest, and shot each and every one of them. They killed 22,000 people in 2 days. So in August of 43, my father and I had noticed to go to Kaiserwald concentration camp, which was also in Riga at a different location. Here you were mistreated. Here you hardly got any food unless you confiscated some illegally. It was a tough life. One evening, as I was walking through the barracks, I saw a piece of bread on somebody's bunk. Guess what I did? I took it. I brought it to my father, and my father said, "Where did you get that bread?" I never was a good liar, so I told him I got it off that bunk. I said, "What you're going to do is you take it back, give it to the man, and apologize." And when I came back, I got one across the face I can still feel today. It was a tremendous lesson. And he said to me, "If you want to steal, steal from the masses, don't steal from an individual." So I did steal the bread off a truck, and they caught me, and it was December, miserably cold. I mean, you're talking way, way below zero. And they took a water hose and put it right up here into my shirt, and they soaked me from top to bottom. Well, I did survive it. So a few weeks later, my father became ill, and he was returned to the ghetto. Next I heard, the ghetto was liquidated, and everybody in the ghetto went to Majdanek, which was one of the extermination camps. My mother and my sister were in the women's camp, and I used to see them from time to time through the wires. So life went on as usual, and the camps were horrible. I've seen any kind of death you want to create, from hanging to shooting to flogging to drowning. Any kind of death, I've experienced it. Not a nice thing, I can tell you. I had 2 jobs. The first job was the Germans did recycling of D batteries. You ever split a battery in half and see what it's all about? That's what we did. I did that for about 2 or 3 months, and after that I found a job which I liked better, which was in the garage. But we had a selection process. We were about 80 boys my age. And thank God for the garage, because the men who worked in the garage, we were on about 15 or 20. They put me in the middle so they shouldn't see me. And by the selection process was over, how many boys do you think we had left? 5. All the rest of them were shipped to extermination camps. I went through several of those. I remember one time, I omitted to say this, there was a selection process, and I went to the garage, and the selection process lasted several days. And since I knew about it, there was a stack of tires higher than the ceiling, from big to small. I climbed up, climbed inside, and I stayed for 3 days. No food, no water, no nothing. The only thing you had on your mind to survive. Nothing else. Not tomorrow, not today, not yesterday, just this minute. Survive this minute. There was nothing to read to motivate you. There was nothing to do to motivate you. You just looked for the next minute or day to survive. after about 2 weeks of marching, we heard a big rumbling noise. Never heard that rumbling noise before. And the Red Army, or the Russians as we would refer to them, were coming close, and by 9:05 on the 9th of March, they overran the column and we were free.
How did this experience impact your faith in God and your?
It never changed. It never changed. I've been asked that question many a times. Why didn't you swap religion or whatever? It's not that easy. It's not like the United States where you are free to go wherever you're unhappy with this one, you go there. It's not that way. I mean, if you wear the Star of David, you are what you are. Well, you always say, where's God when something happens? Got two hands, you got a head on your shoulders, you do the best you can.
So that testimony is of Harry. So those of you who have seen Harry when Harry came live, Harry's it's a little harder. Harry just turned 95, and it's harder for him to come out, or I would have had him come in person. So we've actually didn't want to impose that on him as well coming through, and that was taken a few years ago. But hopefully there's a transcript of that that's within your asset packet. So has everyone found the session 3, making sure everyone's found session 3. What I'm going to have, and then if you go to the very beginning of the instructions first, the very beginning, where it says you've got 3 primary sources, at the very top, you've got 3 primary sources right there. It says it's the Right Citizenship Law, you've got a stenographic report, and you've got the Wannsee Protocol. Those are 3 primary sources that I want you to, one of them, pick one to include, and then also pick something from the asset packet, which is down where it says on number 2, explore the story of Harry Lowenstein. Those are all the same link, goes to the same document, except for the video testimony if you really want to watch the video again. But if you click on one of those, it opens up another packet that says, it says, I've got bad vision, bio and images, primary source, excerpts, and also discussion prompts. So if you click on that, it will open another document. And that is actually compiled from our historian who was working on Harry's story for our new museum exhibit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys, while I set up for Ms. Kurtz, for Claudine, who's back here in the back, she's going to come up in front and share her story. I have to set up because I have to switch the sound out, which is going to be super fun. So that way she can be heard online and also be projected in here, so she doesn't have to yell. So when I bring everyone back to center, I'll kind of wave my hand like so, like a genie. Is that how genies do it? I don't know. And then everyone will come back. Sounds good? So Kayla, if you want to go ahead and set the breakout sessions online, give everyone time to talk and give them their group